is all about, right? So it's important that we bring these things back on the table, right? So that your daughter listening to this show, or who is not listening to this show, know how to choose a mate, knows how to choose a partner, knows how to choose a man in their future. Your man, your son will know how to choose a wife in the future if we on this show talk about what love, relationship, and happiness and marriage is all about, right? Isn't it important to you as parent that your kids succeed in their marriage, right? You do not want your kids to fail in their relationships. You do not want your children to fail in their marriages. You don't want your kids to grow up in a broken home, right? I mean, there are circumstances that happens and we can't help it, right? But guess what? If we bring issues like that on the table, if parents that are listening to this show become aware of the importance to bring the family back together, to have a family meeting, well, you know what's going to happen? What's going to happen is our sons and daughters are going to be better informed, because there will be family meetings. There will be family sit downs. People will get together and sit down at the kitchen table while they're having dinner, and mom and pop are going to talk. Mom and pop are going to run the show. They're going to tell their kids what life is all about. They're going to educate them on the matters of love. When your daughter says to you, I have a boyfriend, then you need to know what to say to them, right? Do I know what you should be saying to them? Not necessarily, but I bet you if I open the airwaves and somebody calls, somebody will have the answer. Right? Somebody will have the answer. And maybe I'll find an answer. I may find an answer for you. Or maybe I'll say, you know what? If you say it to the Lord in prayer, you'll get an answer. Right? Because God is not deaf. God can hear you. I bet you, when you have a problem, and many of us have experienced that in our lives before, where we've had a problem and we went to the Lord in prayer and we found a solution. Otherwise, most of us would have been dead by now. All right? Otherwise, most of us would have been in jail. Most of us would have been in problems, serious problems, because since God came through, right? Those of you Christians know what I'm talking about. And even those of you that are not Christians, guess what? The Lord is also on your side, because He made it rain for everybody, right? The gates of blessings are open to everybody. So it's important that we bring these issues on the table, so that as we go through life, right? As we go through life and we encounter all kinds of problems, we encounter all kinds of difficulties, we can handle it better. I'm not saying that we're not handling our problems well enough. I'm not saying that. I'm just proposing that we bring things back on the table. All right? So on this show, we're going to be talking about social issues. We're going to be talking about love, sex, marriage, happiness. Heck, we're going to be even talk about divorce, because there's a large population, there's a large amount of families that's already broken up, and divorce has already taken place, or they have already gone through divorce, right? Isn't it important that we sit down, right, to have a talk about this, right? Maybe that talk will not save the family, but it could make the divorce process a little bit more easier on the kids, first of all, right? Because they tend to be the victims most of the time, right? So it's important that we bring that stuff on the table. Divorce can be a very expensive situation to go through, right? Not to mention the emotional pain that the family goes through, right? So, hey, don't you think it would be nice to talk about that? It would be nice to bring that on the table, so that we can sit down as a society, as a people, to make better decisions, about life, right? So again, as I mentioned earlier, my name is Gene Edward Brutus, And this show, the name of it is called The Voice of the Guardian. The inspiration to do this show came not from me, but I have to give praise to God, because He inspired me to do this show. Right? Will it be a hit? Will it be a success? Well, it's all in God's hand. But guess what? I want to do what's right. I want to leave out what's in my heart, the inspiration in my heart. And on this show, other things we're going to talk about are going to be things like children, right? How are we raising our children, right? How are we raising our children? Okay, they are getting educated from everywhere but the parents. They are getting educated from TV. They are getting their education from music. They're getting their education from their friends in school, right? From maybe a little bit from teachers, you know. But you know what kind of education I'm talking about. They're getting miseducated. That's exactly what I mean. They are getting miseducated everywhere, right? To the point where your 5-year-old can be singing a song that is 100% about sex. They don't know the meaning of it, but as parents, you know what it's about. And you know that this song, the words that they're singing can and may and will have an impact on their lives, right? It's time that we bring some of those issues back on the table. So we're going to take a little music break, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. All right? Thank you very much, and stay connected to us. Thank you. I guess our music CDs is not working yet. Well, guess what, guys? This is my first day on the radio. This is my first day on back on the radio, because I was on the radio a few years back. So I'm not very familiar with the board, but guess what? I will become an expert in no time soon. I guess this is my cue to keep on going. All right. So again, you're listening to The Voice of the Guardian, and my name is Gene Edward Brutus, your Haitian baby boy, and you know, this show again, we dedicated to the families that are going through some problem right now. We dedicate this show to the mothers and the fathers that are stressing about the future. We dedicate this show to the young men and young women that are listening to this show, that don't know what to do for their future, that don't know what to do, that are pretty much lost out there. Yes, this show is dedicated to young men that are growing up but without any sense of how to handle the changes that are happening in this world. That they seem to be lost, right? Because of the distractions. Yes, this is going to be one of the major issues that we're going to talk about. The distractions. We're going to talk about the distractions. The things that are taking our future, our kids, our young men and women off track. That's what a distraction is. A distraction is something that takes you off track. What are some of the distractions that exist in this world? Well, guess what? From the get-go, right? From the get-go, from childhood to adulthood, there are certain things that you need to do, that you need to go through, right? There are certain experience that you need to have, like family education, school education, right? Studying, preparing yourself so that when you become an adult, you can handle life. You can support yourself and support a family. But guess what? Along the way, there are distractions. Along the way of you getting to that destination, right? Along the way, there are major distractions. What are some of those distractions? Well, we mentioned earlier drugs, alcohol, right? Those are major distractions, right? Having illegal fun or having too much fun, right? Major distractions. Sometimes having a boyfriend or girlfriend in your life can be a major distraction, right? Because when you're working on a goal, if you're working on a future, right? And you get bogged down, you get distracted by some of those things, well, guess what? You will lose sight of the objective. You will lose sight of what is important in your life. And the moment you lose sight, you are destined for failure. The moment you get distracted from your destination, right? Major distractions. Going out clubbing with your friends, right? You got a major final exam coming up, or when you should be studying, you're hanging out with your friends. Distraction, right? Other distractions. Well, aside from drugs, alcohol, well, you can be shot, all right? Because some of your friends can influence you to do the wrong thing. Tell me who your friends are, and I tell you who you are. Major distractions. Wouldn't you agree? So it's important that we need to bring it back on the table as a matter of discussion, the kind of friends that we need to have, that we need to educate our kids to have. It's important that we help them understand the kind of friendship, the kind of relationship they need to maintain. They need to understand how to value themselves and how to value life. That's important. So it's important that those kids understand what are some of the distractions that can happen. Because you hang with the wrong crowd, guess what? You will be guilty by association. All right? And there are lots of young men and women in prison right now, not because they did anything wrong, but because they're guilty by association. Okay? Because judge knows that you are what your surrounding is. The judge knows that you will do exactly what your friends do, guilty or not guilty. All right? So I'm not into the law. I don't know anything about the law, but you know, as you're listening, a lot of you listening to this show, either today or later on when this show is broadcast, either next Sunday or by other media, you will know that you'll remember that you have a family member or a friend in jail, and you know that they didn't do anything wrong. But guess what? They were hanging with the wrong crowd. Well, let me tell you a story. A young man, two young men were invited to go rob a liquor store. Okay? By other friends invited them to go rob a liquor store. Or one of them said, well, guess what? I do not want any part of it. No, I don't want any part of it. So I'm going to stay away from that. They call them chicken. They give them all kinds of peer pressure. And the other one says, you know what? I ain't chicken. I'll drive the car. You guys go rob the liquor store, and I'll drive the car. Well, guess what? The next day, they found out in the newspaper that the driver of the car was the only one that got shot in the head. Why? Because he succumbed to peer pressure, distraction, major distraction, right? So it's important that we bring that back on the table so that parents know that it is important to talk to their young men and women about the kind of friends, about the kind of relationship that they're having, right? How to say no to your friends. You're not here to please them. No. You're not here to please your friends. You're here to live your life, right? There are lots of men and women that have broken up their family because somebody told them something and they wanted to please their friends. They wanted to please other people. No. No. The Voice of the Guardian is dedicated to bringing those issues back on the table so we as a people can better know how to deal with these issues, can better know how to talk to our young men and young women and our children, right? So women knows how to talk to their husband and husband know how to talk to their wives. Yes, we are going to talk about family and marriage relationship because a lot of families are broken up because we don't know how to communicate with each other. That's a major problem. We don't communicate effectively, right? The main problem oftentimes is the communication, right? So communication is broken